in the LCS. I don't think that's ever happened, actually, now that I think about it. So they are going to be a little bit warmed up, feeling good off of that win. IMT with their Academy roster playing in this game. We'll see how they feel here, as well as Hecarim is going to get banned away. So respect being given to apparently the best import in the LCS, according to Perks, Jose Diodo.
He does have a 100% win rate in the LCS.
That's true.
It is backed up by the statistics right here. The Jose Diodo is the greatest of all time. Of course, Hecarim does get some play in Pro, but it is a little bit surprising to see that first round ban on it, as opposed to something like the Olaf that we see getting played all the time. Doesn't mean that they're not going to ban that out later, of course, but will be interesting. They are trying to set up, it looks like, to first pick the Olaf. Of course, FlyQuest could ban it out themselves. Perhaps they just wanted to make sure that some sort of OP was left up. Right now, it feels like you ban Olaf, you give over Lilia. That is probably going to be what happens here for Immortals, unless they are okay taking the other side of the trade, grabbing something like the Nidalee. Graves is also an option. Hasn't been as effective though, and especially in a world where we're seeing so many AD top laners, it feels like it's just oftentimes too easy to itemize against Graves. So we'll see if they want to go towards something a little bit different, if they want to go towards an AP style top laner, because if you do go towards your Gnar or your Camille or anything like that, Tabbies and Bramble already becomes insane value for any sort of tank top laner, and that's something that they're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, as you mentioned, though, Olaf is banned alongside Talia. Those are kind of the two best junglers right now, feels like, so not being let through as many drafts. Pantheon also banned away and continuing to be banned in almost every game by FlyQuest, or everyone in the LCS in general. Camille Aphelios also means that Kai'Sa is going to maybe be paired alongside Rakan here. Certainly a champion Diamond is very comfortable on, which may be more of what FlyQuest are thinking, at least on the Diamond side. Just give him things he feels a bit better on, although for now, they're going to take the Lilia for Jose Diodo because they don't want to run the junglers list too far down. You want to make sure you get something in, and it doesn't really give much information away.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the advantages here, because when you're playing red side, you essentially get two counter picks, right? You get the first round counter pick here guaranteed with your third pick, and then you get that fifth pick counter pick. Those are the ones that you want to try to play towards. When jungle is already locked in for your opponent, you can just grab your own jungler without really giving anything away. Force Immortals to lock in a couple more choices here, and then see if you can find some sort of a favorable matchup for yourself as a result. Jhin coming through though here for Keith. We'll have, a bit of a range advantage there against Kai'Sa. Jhin really does pair up well with things like the Leona. We're seeing a lot of engaged supports alongside it. Gragas can work well also, and the Gragas is nice here because it is a flex. It can work as that AP top laner. We also can see it as a tank. That would work as far as having some diversity of damage to pair alongside the Graves that I talked about. But you could also send this down to Joey and have it as an engaged support alongside the Jhin. The Q from the Gragas is an easy setup for the root coming out from the Jhin, so they have that to work with as well.
Interesting also to see Gnar here from Licorice, actually. So maybe predicting Gragas. Interesting matchup there 1v1, because Menino is pretty vulnerable to getting burst down by the AP Gragases especially. But if you maybe think it's something else, you are going to ban some more top laners here in Phase 2. Kind of curious to see how FlyQuest want to set up a champion that has been pretty hot and cold, honestly. Gnar, not been all that popular around the world. It's kind of dipping down a little bit, but North America seems to like it sometimes. And Licorice going to be the pilot for the champion in this game, as Gangplank will be banned away. So are expecting Gragas to not be in the top lane.
It feels like kind of just one of the go-to safe picks, right? Where people are like, well, I'm not really sure what to pick. I'm not really picking for counter. Gnar's okay, right? It's ranged, it's relatively comfortable in a lot of matchups. It has a lot of matchups that I would say are fairly skill-based, so you aren't going to be punished incredibly hard by very many picks. You can ban some things out if there are specific ones that you're really worried about. Something like a Camille or an Aurelia if you're concerned about those. GP getting taken off the table is somewhat interesting, but one of the things that I really do like about the Gragas pick is because of the flex, it kind of denied some of the advantage from the red side. I talked about kind of the first round and second round counter pick. When you have a flex in there, your opponents really aren't even sure how to spend their bans. It's harder for them to actually pick specifically for a lane counter. The GP, maybe Gragas was always going to go top lane, and then the GP ban is mostly wasted unless they're going to do something like a GP mid, which is really out there. Pretty much no one plays that anymore, so don't expect it. But I will say I really like the Seraphine ban. We saw how effective Diamond was on it last game. Seraphine, I think, is incredibly good with the Moonstone Renewer in particular, so it makes sense to take that away.
Hi, welcome to the LCS, by the way. This is Sprinkles, everyone. She's decided to come to work today. And now she's angry that I picked her up. I'm sorry. Hey, relax. Okay, Leona gonna be picked up here later for FlyQuest. Yeah, I mean she's already She's already on it there, as Leona is going to be the pick up there for Diamond. I do like, actually, the respect is being shown to Diamond after his great Seraphine game. Obviously, Seraphine being banned there, and also he's an excellent Thresh player, and the IMT Academy squad would be pretty aware of that because Diamond played down there for so long. So I like that here, but I also like that they're giving him more power. Like, Diamond on Leona is another champion. He can showcase the talent he did demonstrate in Academy before moving up to the LCS to start this year. But Joey has been playing quite a bit of Rel, so Syndra's going to be the pickup for Pretty, and we'll see if the Rel is going to get locked in alongside it.
I mean, Rel is a really strong answer, I think, to a lot of engaged supports. I feel like it's a very favorable matchup against Leona. They could, of course, still flex Gragas down to the bottom lane and go for a top lane pick here, but we will see where they do end up. You know, what I want to see, though, from Diamond is confidence, right? You know, I do think that when he played Leona last time around, he did look very hesitant. You know, we saw him play it against C9. He wasn't always even willing to throw the Zenith Blade. It felt like he was worried about it getting dodged out on. When you play an engaged support, you need to have the killer instinct. You need to believe that you're going to be able to land those engages and find those plays. And with the Malphite getting picked, I am assuming now that it's going to be Malphite going up to the top lane and Gragas down here as the support, so it will be flexed around. Pretty interesting stuff. I don't think that, you know, Malphite is that good of a matchup actually into the Gnar. Yes, you can go Qmax and Comet and that style of build, but if Gnar just goes like Doran Shield and Fleet and some of the sustain type setups, you start to out-sustain that incredibly easily. And then it can be, you know, a little bit difficult to actually survive in that matchup. That being said, it does give them a really good go button for the 5v5. Malphite is incredible in 5v5. You have Malphite engage, you have Gragas engage. You hit someone with that Malphite ultimate. There's a lot of squishy targets over on the other side. Follow it up with Graves ult, follow that up with Syndra ult. All of a sudden, those people are very, very dead. And that could look pretty good for Immortals, but you know, after Licorice, I think has had a couple strong games. I think his Fiora game was good, although it didn't go well for the team. I think his Gragas game was incredible. We could see him, you know, really looking good in this 1v1.
Yeah, for sure. Also, Akali, by the way, was the last pick for FlyQuest. Powerfox going to take that one into battle once again. Kind of interesting to see that one drop down so low. And as we were actually talking about top laners, I realized Renekton actually just dropped through a draft, which doesn't happen all that often either. So neither top laner wanted to take that one here. Instead, Malphite into Gnar as our top lane matchup here. As like you said, Licorice is looking to continue a good day today and wanting to show more of, you know, what we knew him for when he was on Cloud9. And now that he's on FlyQuest and really expected to lead this team, at least as far as like play and talent and brand value goes, because he is one of the longest standing members of this team, especially with so many new faces to the LCS joining FlyQuest this year. So I'm curious to see if Gnar shows us anything different, because I feel like every time we see Gnar, I'm like, it's okay. I don't get it, but certainly you can have some big moments, and I think there's maybe more to explore for the champion.
Yeah, I think, like I said, a lot of times it's just something where you're kind of thinking as a top laner, if you have to blind pick, you're not going to get slammed. Right? I'm going to pick Gnar. It's going to be fine. I could win a lane if I play well. If I get behind, I still have some, you know, some utility with the ultimate in a team fight. I can still be useful there. So it's just kind of more that thought process, I think, a lot of time, rather than thinking you're just going to absolutely crush your opponent. It is interesting, though, seeing Akali come through because, you know, this is really the only major region out of those top leagues where you're seeing much Akali get through drafts. You know, out of the top leagues, we're seeing 5 picks coming into today and 86 bans, right? Now today we have 2 picks just in this set of games. So, you know, it is interesting that it's kind of considered to be lower threat in the LCS, perhaps just not as good Akali players, or people feel that they can deal with it better. But for whatever reason, that is a pretty big discrepancy from what we're seeing in some of the other leagues.
Well, I like the level 1 setup there for FlyQuest, but the intel was gained by Keith, so nobody gets killed by the Leona, who was ready to jump on the first target she saw in range. It is Fleet vs Comet in the top lane, so kind of like we were talking about there. The harasser Malphite is going to get outscaled by Fleet as the matchup kind of continues on.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of Gnars in these kind of matchups just go actually Doran's Shield and just, you know, to have a more defensive setup, but even more kind of sustained from that poke. Of course, with the Doran's Blade, you still do have lifesteal, but it requires you to get a lot more autos off to actually kind of make that happen. So we'll see where he wants to go from here. Nice little sidestep there from Pretty on the Akali Q, but yeah, it is somewhat of a good early matchup when you do go for this Qmax. He's going Corrupting as well for the additional mana. You know, going to assume that he's taking Mana Flow ban and whatnot. And it can be fairly strong, but you know, you do struggle the more you get into the game, the more sustain the Gnar has, because, you know, any trades you take, you don't have any Doran Shield or actually, you know, HP that you purchased up in the early items. So you are very susceptible to getting poked out yourself, and you know, once Gnar can sustain through the Q spam, you're pretty much worthless in that 1v1. You just have to hope that your jungler can come up there and you can make something happen with your ultimate.
Yeah, Jose Diodo actually already going to visit mid here. Just going to drive through. Oh my god, just flashes into the level 1 Syndra and forces pretty splash.
I actually really like that. He's going straight for the Raptor invade. You know, if he just did this and then went back to his own jungle, I would think it made less sense. But he has his smite up, so he trades flashes. Palafox doesn't commit his own because he knows they're not actually going to get the kill. He steals away Raptors, then goes back to his side to continue the jungle. So this is actually really, really nice. You know, he started on red, you know, pulled that over to do it with the Raptors. Does that straight into a level 2 gank, steals enemy Raptors, now has his 3 camps on blue side to clear, and then could even recall and go back to Krugs. And this is a really nice start here from Jose Diodo. Those are the kind of efficient ganks that you actually really like to see in the early game. When people are spending those early levels where, you know, experience and gold is so important to be keeping up on, and they're waiting around in the brush for a long time. I generally hate those ganks, but this was like no time lost. He was running from camp A to camp B and just happened to gank a Syndra on the way.
Just the most efficient path. You know, we love talking about junglers and their efficient pathing, and Jose Diodo is just being efficient. Bottom side, Diamond did not a Keith Ignite is there. See you later. Diamond gonna grab first blood onto his old teammate nonetheless.
Yeah.
Keith goes down.
Keith dying very quickly there. They were pushed up very, very far. When you're that close to the tower, it becomes hard to really fight it back. You pretty much are forced to just fully retreat, and you know, he was holding on to that 4th shot for so long, but just too far forward. Joey cannot really peel for him. They get the kill, both the summoners, and Johnson didn't even have to spend a summoner there, so very, very nice 2v2 play there from FlyQuest. I talked about wanting to see Diamond have that killer instinct, have that aggression, and in these early minutes, he's already showing that he does.
Yeah, first blood over to FlyQuest. They're up almost 1,000 gold, about 800 right now, as Licorice going to continue to harass Topoon. We haven't checked in on this matchup actually yet, despite talking about it at length in the draft. But topside Rome is the play here for FlyQuest. And IMT as Potluck's trying to fend off Jose Diodo, but Licorice still battling Topoon in the top lane, as Palafox going to have to run away because there's 4 people now for IMT. Taking this Scuttle Crab.
They will get the Scuttle, you know, and they do get double Scuttle, so that is something that is really nice for them because Jose Diodo went Raptors to mid to Raptors, then pulled back. You know, he didn't spend that time to actually be at a Scuttle on spawn, so roaming up Joey allowed Potluck to get that double Scuttle off here. But this is actually a really bad spot right now for Topoon. Yes, he is having the push, but because it's kind of getting in this awkward spot, he's used all his potions. If he cannot get the wave reset here pretty quickly, he's going to be out of mana with the wave pushing away from him. And the further up you get in that lane, you're very squishy without a Doran's item at the start. So you can actually get all in. You can get potentially ganked. So it may force a pretty bad recall here from Topoon, who looks like he's not going to be able to reset the wave, and he's going to be stuck here low on mana.
Yep, can always close the jungle, but Potluck's pretty far away right now as he's busy clearing the rest of his blue side camps that are respawned. Jose Diodo also went back for the Raptors once again, so taking that camp kind of on cooldown at this point. Already has a very fast cooldown boots as well, which is something we've seen be very popular among many different junglers. Potluck though is going to finish off this Grump, and so he can be topside if he needs to, but Topoon actually has already had enough. He's just going to TP back.
Yeah, I can't say I like what Licorice did with the wave there, though. Like, instead of actually just holding the freeze and basing with the wave slow pushing towards yourself, you can force out your opponent's TP, and then if you need to, you can TP back. He actually basically just froze the wave on himself, right? He tried to shove it out, couldn't actually get it reset, so instead of denying minions away from his opponent, you know, we're going to see Topoon just TP back in, collect pretty much all of that CS. Yes, Licorice now will spend his ultimate. It looks like I can see on the icon that his ultimate is spent, so he will reset the wave. This will save his TP potentially here, but Malphite's still threatening the freeze. So I just think that he could have actually had the wave and just continued to push towards him and gotten a much bigger advantage, because now he has to TP back anyway, and he didn't deny what he could have, you know, with that wave setup. So a little bit disappointed, I think, with how Licorice handled that.
Yeah, and I think the scary thing is, like, right, he's not going to get punished as a result. He's just going to TP back and be okay. But we know where the enemy jungler is. Licorice does not know where Potluck is, right? And so if he was there, that would have been a pretty easy way to potentially pick off Licorice, or at least blow the flash, and then maybe look for the revisit. So Topoon now level 6 can potentially set something like that up, but Licorice not going to get punished really at all for that aggressive TP back after mismanaging the wave, let's say. They're on the top side, bottom side though, it's already been bad news for Keith. But they're just pushing right now, so A-okay. In fact, up in CS despite the death.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair to Licorice, like, he's crushing the 1v1, right? But it's like he already has a great advantage. I just think that it could have been so over that it became unplayable from Tapoon's side from that. But, you know, maybe his thought process is simply that I'm going to push it in, go TP aggressively, and I'm going to try to get turret plates, right? And maybe that's the way that he wanted to play for that. They are trying to now look for some sort of an invade here on the blue buff, but Licorice does not have his ultimate available. He's in mini. Tapoon does have that ultimate, so you have to give respect over to that. And Joey was even roaming up to answer here. He has been pretty active on the map. After that early 2v2 did not go their way, Joey is kind of getting out of dodge and not looking for the 2v2, looking to put pressure on the map, looking to force Diamond to actually match his roams.
Yeah, if you recall back to last week, actually, Immortals' one win so far in the Lock-In tournament was in part due to Joey's Nautilus roaming a lot in the early game. So definitely like to see him continue that up. Diamond actually matched him there as well. So there were two supports in mid lane or near mid lane, potentially looking for something. But instead, it's just going to be everyone back to where they belong. And Pretty going to get that blue buff, which he's got to be happy about there as he returns to mid. And Joey rejoins Keith to make sure nothing bad happens as... Looks like Johnson's getting that wave pushed back nice and slowly. Doesn't want to give too much room here.
Yeah, and this is good timing from Joey, because if you allow that wave to stack and push and your marksman is there by themselves under the tower, that is such an easy dive, and then you lose the entire wave. So he has to be here to try to protect Keith and make sure he can pick up the farm as it does push in towards him. You know, thankfully for the Immortals side, yes, they did give up that 2v2 kill, but they're not falling that far behind in farm. And the kill gold did go over to Leona. So the gold between these two marksmen is not going to be more than like 300, 250 gold after all this shakes out, which really isn't too bad, all things considered.
Also see Jose Diodo starting the first dragon here with Diamond and Johnson pushing up the bottom lane. Power Fox going to have some pressure potentially in mid. And no top laner can join the fight, so Jose Diodo not worried about any sort of big team fight breaking out. We'll just go ahead, finish off the Ocean Drake with a bit of help from Diamond and Johnson, who are roaming up. Also, looks like Power Fox is going for the same build we saw last time he was playing Akali. It's funny, we were actually talking about this off air. We haven't seen much Riftmaker, and 2 games in a row, Power Fox is going to give us Riftmaker.
Yeah, it is very interesting to see him go for the Riftmaker build. It is still, you know, fairly popular as far as solo queue goes, but it's significantly lower win rate than both the Rocket Belt as well as the Harvester. So it's surprising to see that. And in pro play, I've been seeing a lot of Rocket Belt, you know, a lot of Night Harvester, more kind of for the bursty options as opposed to the sustain. I will say that there is something to be said for the advantage that you get just from having kind of some Omni Vamp in lane. You know, having the Leeching Leer is kind of nice. It gives you 10% Omni Vamp right off the bat. That plus Resolve plus Fleet in these melee versus range matchups, which is what he was playing both games, does make it pretty hard to get bullied out of lane. So maybe just prioritizing kind of sustain for the lane phase.
No, Riftchild was aggroed, but no one's starting it just yet. Diamond actually here in the area alongside Jose Diodo, because Licorice is looking for Tapoon. He's got the Malphite ulti, and out he goes right through Licorice's ulti. Very well played by the Malphite to get out of there.
Yep, you are unstoppable when you're in that, so nicely done. But you can see Diamond is actually up here behind him. He's getting some vision down, clearing out some wards. It looks like they want to start up this Rift Herald here potentially. But again, Joey is in the area. They are threatening the Syndra roam here. They have started this up, but they're pulling it towards the top side. So I actually really like this positioning from FlyQuest, knowing that if there's an extra member coming from Immortals, it would be from mid lane. So this would give them an easy exit out towards top lane if they had to retreat. In this case, does not look like it's going to happen. So nice little bit of positioning there. Doesn't end up meaning too much, but they can drop the Herald and push in for this tower, and it should just be honestly a full tower take here, I think. You have enough time to just get this down. There's no TP on Tapoon. He has no ultimate, so he has no chance of defending this. No one from his team is up here on that top side of the map, so they can just push in this next wave, get that last plate down, and grab a tower here potentially. But interesting that they're going to decide to save the Rift Herald instead, use the Rift Herald recall, and maybe want to just try to prioritize having that down around when the next dragon spawns, or potentially attacking mid lane. But wouldn't have mind just seeing get all that additional gold in the pockets of Licorice, who is having a great game already and could maybe get even further ahead.
All right, well, it's kind of telling how much the supports have been roaming because both Joey and Diamond are still level 5. They've been very active and away from waves for a lot of this game. We're 11.5 minutes in, and neither of them have hit level 6, though I imagine they can't be too far away at this point. Also, always exciting to see, and we have started to see more of this in jungle, actually, especially in the LCS, Bandleglass Mirror there for Jose Diodo. So you have to think it's going to be Moonstone Renewer as the mythic of choice for Lilia.
Yeah, a lot of people talking about this this build. Obviously, you know, LS is a big fan of it. A lot of people are doing it in solo queue. It is very, very powerful. You know, the biggest thing for me is just that it finishes so quickly because it is quite a cheap build path here. When you're going towards support items, they are obviously, you know, cost effective for supports who have a lot less gold. It's 2,500 gold as opposed to something like the Leandries, which is 3,400 gold. And then generally you're going for a secondary cheap item to actually follow that up, the Staff of Flowing Water, which is only 2,300 gold as well. So all told, you're spending 4,800 gold for 2 items. You can add in Lucidity Boots and still have a very, very powerful 2-item spike very early on in the game. It adds a tremendous amount of healing to those team fights. There's the additional AP being traded around with that Staff of Flowing Water, the move speed. So people really just feel like, hey, for team fighting, for playing around dragons, which is seeming to be what the game is about these days, this is the quickest, most effective build that you can really get to try to do that.
All right, well, the pressure in top lane has not really let up. Jose Diodo actually revisits the top side of the map to drop that Herald for Licorice. We also had Palafox up towards that top half of the map, which does mean Topun is going to have to play very far back. In fact, he's just straight up respecting any sort of pressure here. Doesn't really have any vision to play around, so he's just going to let the Herald happen because he couldn't really stop it anyway and then finish it off before it can take down the tier 2. So Licorice up like 30 plus CS at this point with the Divine Sunderer now finished. Pretty nice timing there as turret plating just drops. He's dropping off in 20 seconds as well, so Licorice going to collect so much gold off all the attention being given to his lane.
Yeah, he's doing very, very well. I mean, he had a good early lane phase, already got himself ahead. I do think this is a tough matchup for Topun, and it's difficult because you're picking into one of the best top laners in the LCS, you know, if not the best over the last couple years, and you have the counter pick, and you kind of self-counter pick, right? And you're doing it for the team, so it just puts so much pressure on them getting an effective Malphite ult off when it comes down to the 5v5. And they're going to show up to this dragon fight and try to get something done here. But, you know, we talked about the aforementioned Moonstaff build, or whatever you want to call it, but the Moonstone Renewer is actually completed for Jose Diodo. You look over at Potluck, he is not going to be finishing that first mythic item. It's so much more expensive, so you expect Lilia to be more effective. You expect FlyQuest to have the advantage here as they have the gold lead, and Diamond's on the flank.
Yep, Diamond looking for it, does get the stunt onto Keith, but he cleanses out of there. Diamond also taking a little too much damage. Topun is ready with the ulti. 1 kill already happening here for IMT. The Licorice can hop over the wall, but he's almost very, very angry. Oh, Topun looking for it, keeping the jungler out of there. Good flash though from Jose Diodo to escape, but the dragon does go to Immortals.
Really well managed fight from Immortals. It felt pretty ambitious for Diamond to go for that flank. You know, that is more of what I would consider to be a top laner positioning. You know, you mentioned the level discrepancies, right? You know, you're a level 7 Leona flanking potentially a level 11 Syndra, right? You will just die instantly. And that is pretty much what happened. It was a great body slam from Joey to actually delay the initial engage. And then Keith had cleanse. He had the Gale Force to actually dodge the ultimate after that was coming in for the follow-up. So he didn't even force the flash. And we can just watch this one more time. You know, if this is the Gnar on the flank, you're like, okay, I like that. But he is separated. The stun comes in immediately from Joey on the flash. That was beautiful stuff. And then Keith just cleanse into Gale Force, gets right out of there. Topun intelligently not committing his ultimate early. He knows that he doesn't need to use it unless his opponents actually are going to commit to the play. So saved it, was able to trade his ultimate out for the flash from Jose Diodo, guaranteeing themselves that dragon. So a really well-managed fight from Immortals, but can't say I love the positioning from Diamond.
Right, and still down 2,500 gold on the IMT side, but many more mythics completed. Double Gale Force now done. for both Potluck and Keith, respectively. We've had the Sunfire Aegis for a bit for Topun, and of course, Pretty has that Luden's Tempest all finished up as well. So pretty fight ready, although there's not going to be another fight for probably 3.5 minutes. Maybe this Rift Herald, if we want to go ahead and look at that one here, that's spawning in a couple of minutes. But Diamond continuing to play aggressively here is going to force Joey out of there, but no someone is committed as Potluck. Gale Force is back in. Diamond, now where do you go?
Flash.
Just to the death realm as Potluck's going to finish it off.
Yeah, just really nice play there, kind of corralling him, and they had wards all over, so they knew no one was actually there with him. Like, look at all the vision here from Immortals. They have a ward over the wall, they had a pink in the river. They know that there's no other hidden FlyQuest member that's lurking behind Diamond that can actually punish them for this play. So once they see that Diamond is still there, it's an easy engage onto him. They tracked his flash from the previous fight, so an easy kill there onto Diamond, and they will grab the Rift Herald off the back of this. So Diamond getting punished pretty heavily in these last couple minutes.
I will say, yeah, not a great look there for Diamond. Obviously, he's been pretty hit or miss, I think, even throughout today, let alone the lock-in. But I admire his panache. He's got maybe the best emote game of any current LCS player, emoting as he died with a FlyQuest icon, you know, just to keep the game a little more lighthearted and fun for himself. But unfortunately for him, that angle also was not it, as IMT get a Rift Herald off of the kill they also collected. So very nice there, as Ziodo is continuing to farm all of the Raptors, especially the enemy ones. They taste a little bit better. Riftmaker is now done for Palafox here. Akali a little bit more ready to try and get the fights going. But again, just going to have to wait for that objective. 2 minutes till that dragon is up. We've got a Rift Herald ready for IMT to break just about any point they want to drop that in on the map and take the first tower for themselves. And Tapun's also ready. The rank 2 ulti feeling relatively tanky with his mythic completed. So IMT are closing the gold gap that FlyQuest honestly aren't really doing the best job of extending right now.
Yeah, I mean, it really came down a lot to that previous fight at the Dragon. You know, they had the item completions. They're feeling like they're in a good spot. Licorice now going to get corralled here. I don't know if he can get out of this.
Nice bloody slam. There is the cost, but that's going to be enough as Pretty just takes him out. Everyone was ready for the Gnar. And I thought the Jin W was going to be needed, but Pretty is right there and ready to grab that kill as the Rift Herald will be dropped for this outer tower here in the bottom side of the map. Topun finally calling his team to the top lane and getting a little bit of revenge on Licorice.
Really nicely done. They get the kill. They're probably going to take 2 towers. There's no one even in the area to try to respond to this tier 2 push. Thankfully, at least for FlyQuest, they were pushing out top lane. They were pushing in mid lane. So going to be able to deny a little bit of farm, but not really getting any tower damage. And just like that, the gold lead is gone. You know, FlyQuest was out ahead, 2,000-3,000 gold at that first dragon fight. They mismanaged that. Then they got picked off before that previous Rift Herald, and usually the late Rift Heralds do not get a lot of value, but in this case, because Licorice was by himself, they pick him off, they get his flash, and they get 2 towers with that Rift Herald. So really getting so much value with these last couple minutes of play here. The Immortals Academy lineup looking strong.
Yeah. So far, so good. Gonna look maybe even better depending on how they navigate the upcoming Dragon fight. It's 1 Drake apiece right now for each team, and it is Infernal Soul, which is always a fun one that teams often want to fight over. Palafox here does have the trap laid here for Pretty. Pretty ready with the flash, and Palafox not wanting to dive in. Doesn't have a stopwatch or anything like that. And using some gap closes already does make it tricky for Akali to get out, especially since her ultimate was changed quite a while ago at this point. Blue buff, though, is going to go to Licorice, perhaps here. I don't think there's anyone else ready to collect it. Palafox already has one, so Licorice going to go ahead and grab that. But teams are setting up for this Dragon fight here. Tapuno ready with the angle, has the ultimate at a press of a button.
Yeah, I think they ended up just giving that blue over to Jose Diodo.
Ooh.
But Palafox going in.
Getting spicy, but does get out the Syndra ulti, so can Omni-Vamp up a little bit more, but does need to wait until he's fight ready once again. They do have the Ocean Drake, though, so a little bit of bonus sustain is going to be on their side as Keith eats a swell seed, but not going to be put to sleep as both teams still jostling for position around this objective.
Yeah, and they do send Pretty back to base, but Palafox decided to go back to base himself. He does have the teleport. Both mid laners likely will be teleporting back in. Johnson is isolated, though, and he's kind of split off from the fight. Look at this angle that Tapun has. He is between the Kaisa and his team, so Diamond has to kind of help to get Kaisa back into this fight, or FlyQuest is going to get slaughtered.
Yep, there's TP in from Palafox as well. The Dragon's getting kind of low, but not low enough just yet. Diamond gets rooted. Palafox forced to stasis. Licorice already getting so low. He gets through with the ulti, but he's just dead. As a return fire comes to Potluck, he grabs the kill, and IMT are just going to waltz in and take this Drake.
Yeah, another bad team fight around the Dragon there for FlyQuest. Licorice did look for the ultimate, but didn't actually get the wall connection on anyone, it felt like. Jose Diodo had a multi-man sleep, so he was trying to set it up with that, but Licorice is Mega Gnar was expiring. Now Johnson's just dead here on the bot side.
That's a very fancy looking play, but unfortunately Joey is just going to go golden, and Shutdown is going to come in for Tapoon, who collects some much needed gold after the beating in top lane. It does feel like FlyQuest getting very, very sloppy right now.
I mean, Immortals are playing a super simple composition, right? And that is something that I really think is often underrated in League of Legends, especially at the pro level. You just have multiple easy go buttons, you have point and click ultimates, you have really, really easy stuff and win conditions here. Immortals want a group, they want a 5v5, and they want to fight you. And FlyQuest has got to be a little bit more clever about how they're actually setting up these 5v5s. They have to have flanks, but they have to have the right people flanking from the right angles. They have to be collapsing at the correct times, and they just haven't been able to actually make it come together in any of these Dragon fights. And as a result, they're having members get picked off early in the fights. They're not really connecting at the same times, and FlyQuest really looking sloppy in their team fighting.
And look, IMT have already played 2 games this week, right? They played in Academy, because this is the Academy team that's playing, giving the LCS time a little bit more practice time behind the scenes. And they're just looking, you know, even with the simple comp, certainly on the same page as Joey maybe wanted to get it started off, but couldn't find the angle for the explosive cast. But still, Baron is available pretty early to try and take that one. But I think at this point, they're going to have to deal with Licorice as well, as he is trying to knock down this tower and equalize the turrets here for FlyQuest.
Yeah, Tapoon is heading down there. You can see that Potluck is as well, or at least threatening to do so. So don't think that we'll see Licorice actually be able to get the tower just yet. He's going to have to back off, and they're just trying to play the side lanes. They have Akali, they have Gnar, they have champions that want to be in the 1-3-1 a lot more than what Immortals does have. I talked about Immortals wanting to 5v5, wanting to show up to every dragon and go. We're going to have to see FlyQuest try to split them apart a little bit if they're trying to avoid that, because dragon stacking has been going well for Immortals. Akali and Gnar are going to be pretty happy playing against Syndra and Malphite if they can get these extended 1v1s, but really they're lacking vision right now. There's no wards in this bottom quadrant of the map whatsoever really for FlyQuest, so Licorice can't really push aggressively. And as a result, it's going to be pretty dangerous to go for the tower, but they're looking for Tapoon.
Yeah, Malphite just ults out of there. Not a particularly costly cooldown at this point here, as Powerfox is going to find Joey, but not really a 1v1 anymore, as Keith's also ready. Gale Force is in, Potluck's here as well. Powerfox can have to dance out of there, and does indeed use his second part of the ulti to do that.
Mega
Licorice in there, ready to go Mega. Good cast there from Joey to disengage. Stun is great from Pretty, and Keith just going to keep shooting down the Gnar. Mega Gnar's relatively tanky, but Mini Gnar certainly isn't, and Tapoon doesn't have his ulti. That's a good ult there, but the cleanse out from Keith with the flash is going to keep him safe for now, but Johnson, he's diving in, he wants his kill, and he's not going to get it. The last auto's in the air and does secure a Potluck will find the trade.
Yeah, they find the trade, and it also does cost the flash and the ulti from Licorice, who basically can't fight right now, so I'm not even sure that the position is really a positive one for them. They were looking for the play, but Licorice was very far ahead of the rest of his team on that one. You know, expecting Johnson to be able to follow up. He did do so, but it cost him his life. And we'll see if FlyQuest can make anything happen in the next fight. Keith won't have his cooldowns, he won't have his summoners available, but Tapoon is going to have flash ulti, and Kaisa won't have summoners either. So this is kind of the dangerous thing here. This was just a great disengage, honestly, from Immortals. This could have been so bad for them, but a great pass from Joey, and then Scatter the Weak from Pretty delays so much onto Licorice. And Licorice is kind of in this awkward spot where he feels like he's got to go in. He was trying to catch Pretty with the angle there too, didn't quite get him. The last auto coming in from Johnson there does finish off Keith, but Johnson was always slated to go down at the end of that fight.
Yeah, one-way ticket there for Johnson, who does at least get the kill. It would have been absolutely tragic if he hadn't at least gotten to that one. But IMT still on the offensive here. 50 seconds till that next dragon is up. They'll be on sore point if they grab that Infernal Drake. They take down the mid-outer tower, so much more space for them to play with. They're actually up in gold right now. It's not much, only 500, but better than nothing, especially given the FlyQuest were on the road to snowballing this game, up about 2,000-3,000 gold in the early stages of it. Powerfox is trying to split push. He's busy down in the top side of the map. Licorice also continuing in his side lane. So you know the plan here for FlyQuest, but IMT are just a little bit quicker, a little bit more coordinated, and as you said, a bit more straightforward for them to try and enact their game plan. Associated Yoda is battling Joey. That's bad news for the Gragas, 3 levels down.
But you can see that Licorice just can't really push up, right? He's got no vision, and that's why he was having to just wait until everyone shows up. And then try to look for something nice engage.
In there, finds 2 diamond low. Licorice also taking a bit of heat. But IMT do not find a kill off that engage. They're going to have to reset this one here. Licorice getting low pretty again over the side, ready with the orbs as Palafox is trying to flank in, but he's maybe a bit too late. Licorice going to get stunned. Potluck also moving up here, and now they'll spot Palafox. Potluck is going to see him. Licorice does find a good gnaw, but Key's going to finish him off instead. Jose Diodo, they're going to leap in there with the sleep, but they need to get these assassinations happening. Diamond with the ulti to follow through after that sleep, and FlyQuest finally will clean up a team fight.
Nicely done as the follow-up comes through. Palafox wants more, shouldn't be able to kill off Joey. Licorice giving his life there to set up the fight. Despite the fact that it was quite early, they had Palafox on the flank. He just needed to buy time for the Akali to arrive. And then Jose Diodo and Palafox combining for a massive combo there, landing the sleep on both the marksmen. Palafox able to clean them up. And finally, FlyQuest get a team fight win, reclaim the gold lead, grab a second dragon here, and they are right back in it.
Alrighty, well, gold lead back in their hands, as you said. They balance out the dragons, which is always good to see, and maybe now we see a little bit more of what FlyQuest can do in these sort of scuffles. It definitely isn't pretty. You got to find some skirmishy kind of fights, but this was nicely set up by Licorice, despite things looking real bad. He's got no health as he transforms into Mega Gnar.
I mean, Immortals has done a great job actually delaying the engage. They're always chunking out Licorice. So when he went in, it was a great stun here, and it allows Johnson to just delete pretty, but he dies quickly as well. Jose Diodo then in for the two-man sleep, into the Zonias, and look at him kiting behind Diamond there, keeping the Leona in between him and the Graves, so Graves cannot actually finish off that kill. The Akali comes over top, cleaning it up. And a really, really good fight there for FlyQuest. They needed that one, as it just felt like they were losing fight after fight. Even just for their confidence, it was an important win, as Immortals now looking to take out this top lane turret. Should be theirs, no problem, as they had 3-4 members in the area. But we'll back off as the roam is coming through.
You're not going to get pinched, I guess, in the river, so Palafox is going to return and clean up the rest of the minions, keep the tower alive as Diamond continues to flash B emotes across the rift. Very clean little R flash as well from Palafox there on Akali, so clearly knows his way around this champion. Baron is more of a consideration now for these two teams. We're almost 30 minutes through this game. Hurricane is not done for Johnson, so maybe FlyQuest feeling a bit more comfortable about their team fighting potential, even though I believe they'll be sticking to the 1-3-1 game plan and trying to avoid pure 5v5s, because I think just Malphite, Gragas, Syndra is so potent, especially with the two good AD damage threats as well on the IMT side. But Dragonfell is going to take a lot longer to get. Baron is not really a consideration unless teams want to commit pretty heavily for it. So game is going to drag out a little bit longer, but FlyQuest, at least they can say they're ahead.
And taking that dragon is important because it delays the soul, right? That puts it at least 10 minutes away, basically, for Immortals after you take that dragon. So it buys them more time to split the map, more time to go into the 1-3-1, hope that Immortals make some sort of a mistake, that you can get a solo kill in the side lane, that you can take down towers, spread out your opponents, and force them into these more scrappy fights. They can 5v5, but it requires multiple angle fights. It requires really good engages, and those are just more difficult to find. So the more time they have, the better, because they're going to be able to be more choosy about their opportunities. And this is the kind of fight that they want to get. They get Tapoon answering down on this bottom side. Licorice spent the ultimate, but chunks him out to about 10% HP. So now he has to base. Now the tower is being pressured, and Potluck maybe going to get found out here.
Dancing out. Dash and Gale Force there keeps Potluck safe. Actually, it wasn't even Gale Force. Didn't even need to use it. Just gets out.
Easy.
Nice dodge of Diamond's incoming CC. But Licorice is still working on that bottom tier 2, as you said. He's going to actually take it out. So now a big pressure point applied to this bottom half of the map. It's going to make a potential Baron threat much easier for FlyQuest. 40 until the dragon is up, so still have to be vigilant.
They definitely do. And if they can actually get more vision around this Baron, if they can sweep out all the wards that Immortals has in that area, then Licorice can start to push a lot more aggressively. Because then you can threaten the Baron. If they actually send multiple members down here, you can respond with a counter Baron. You can see that Graves is down here in this area, but there's not a tremendous amount of deep vision here. There is that one ward that is actually going to spot the Graves out now, so we'll see if FlyQuest move in and just try to sweep out that Baron pit. Because I would like them to be able to threaten a counter Baron if they're trying to gank Licorice, because you have the Kaisa, you have the damage to actually kill off this Baron incredibly fast.
It's a pretty high-value blue trinket there, as we did actually see it still stay up. And Baron is going to be started here by FlyQuest pretty quick between the Lilia and the Kaisa, but they're going to have to pull away because they've been spotted. as the blue trinket does reveal them, but they'll pull off the Baron nice and quickly, not wanting to get themselves caught around the objective. Again, also 45 seconds, so this pretty critical third dragon is going to spawn, so FlyQuest want to make sure they're reset before then.
Yeah, they will look to reset here. It was a nice little threat, but as soon as the blue orb comes out, you're not going to stay on that because Jose Dioto would get so low doing that. The only way you actually stick on that Baron is if Immortals never scouted it out whatsoever, but generally speaking, you would think they would take a peek as soon as those wards that they had down there did get cleared out, and Potluck will be able to go back in, clear out that vision. As Joey may be in a little bit of trouble here.
Yep, go to sleep. Over the wall he is, though. Jose Dioto, not enough threat in his own, but here's a big TP. It's Palafox once again on the flank. Looking to dive his way in, but Potluck's going to meet him first. One ulti used. Palafox in the Shroud is just going to walk back towards his teammates, so no assassination this time.
Yeah, now Akali's going to be pretty worthless for this team fight. Pretty much missed everything there. Palafox goes in with the R1, misses the Q, misses the E. But they will be able to burst down this dragon. It looks like Immortals just couldn't actually position quickly enough to answer. We'll see if they can look for some sort of a counter, because Immortals would be in a winning position for any sort of 5v5 right then. You know, having no ultimate on Jose Dioto, having no ultimate on Palafox. So they're just going to go to Baron, I think, and just say, all right, come fight us. We know you don't have these critical cooldowns. Immortals has all 5 of their ultimates, so now FlyQuest are going to have to try to manage this properly. They have Malphite to tank it, so they won't take that much damage on the pull. It has been spotted. But Licorice going to have to TP, and he is coming from very deep with it. Looks like no rage.
Yep, the old zoning Akali ultimate does get in the dragon, but can they get the Baron here? IMT pretty committed at this point. There's the cast out from Jolly. Baron's going to go over it so low, and Jose Dioto, without Smite, actually stole the Baron. And now the big sleep's going to come in as well, and they're just going to clean house. FlyQuest getting away with that one as Johnson Gale forces into Pretty. Topoon's going to get nailed by Diamond Solar Flare, and that's going to be a double kill out for Palafox. It's only Pretty and Joey left alive, as that is just a heartbreaker, as Licorice is going to finish off kill number 4. Indeed does take down the Syndra.
Jose Dioto, the only casualty here for FlyQuest, but makes it worth his while. Takes the Baron as he goes down there, and Immortals hard committed to that Baron. They did not turn for the fight. So when that gets stolen away, you've already taken so much free damage because you're focusing the Baron while FlyQuest is hitting you. Licorice was already hitting Pretty. The ultimate from Taboon got sidestepped by Licorice as well, so everything went wrong for Immortals there. And now FlyQuest with the 1-3-1 composition, they win the fight without their critical ultimates. They steal the Baron, and they have full control. So let's watch this one more time. I just wanted to see them turn on Licorice, who's in Mininar. Why not burst him down, go on him? Instead, they're using Joey's ultimate to just try to back them out and hard commit to this dragon down to 44 HP. They mistime the smite and the 4th shot there. It sits at 44. In goes Jose Dioto. Flash, Q, the Baron is his. And meanwhile, Pretty has just been pushed completely out of the fight by Licorice. FlyQuest run over the rest of the fight. That was really mismanaged by Immortals. They had the tools to turn. They saw Licorice come in with no Mega. You could just turn and kill the Gnar and reset. Instead, they commit, and it doesn't work out at all.
I mean, like my eyes didn't deceive me. Jose Dioto did not have Smite when that happened. That was just a flash Q that managed to get a mis-smited Baron. And FlyQuest now, with the Baron, just going to keep moving forward. They've got super creeps on the top side. Licorice is going to accompany those in. This is also going to make taking this Dragon Soul much easier on the FlyQuest side, because you have this super minion pressure if the game doesn't end before it even spawns. And FlyQuest just going to continue to batter down the towers here. Probably going to get at least one inhibitor tower out of this push, if not an inhibitor and maybe more. IMT going to have to tread very carefully, or their Nexus is going to fall just as quickly as that Baron did.
Yeah, they are in such a tough spot now. I mean, they were already starting to be pressured in the side lanes, and we saw Licorice get Taboon down very low in bot lane, take the tier 2. He is now 3 levels down. Palafox is going to be out-leveling as well because they've been spending more time in the side lanes. They grabbed the Baron, and now they're Baron buffing up all 3 waves. As the supers come in top, there's no way to actually get outside of your base for Immortals, so they're not going to have any vision set up for any potential dragon. The Baron buff will be expiring here, but FlyQuest just wants to keep them locked in their base as long as possible, limit their vision to set up for the potential Dragon Soul.
Yeah, as long as possible. Just a minute 15 is probably good enough here for the FlyQuest side, as Baron is going to expire. Palafox dancing with Potluck and Pretty, but does get himself to safety in the Shroud. Licorice going to bust down mid finally, as the FlyQuest 3-pronged assault does take down a tower.
A nice little bit of pressure there. Johnson still shoving in that bottom lane. They are going to make the call to reset here, so this will relieve a little bit of the pressure for Immortals, but they want to spend up all their gold from that Baron power play. Resetting here with about 45 seconds until Dragon should give them plenty of time. Buy up all the pink wards that they will need. You can see 2 on Licorice, 2 on the support. I would love if Johnson sold that Doran's Blade and bought one, but instead he actually has a BF sword, so that's completely reasonable. You know, at this point in the game, vision is more important than those starter items by far. So you do want to see people just prioritizing that and making sure that they have the correct setup for this soul.
Yeah, Lich Band also done for Palafox, so 4 big ticket items now done for the Akali.
6 pinks.
Got FlyQuest just sneaking into the enemy red side jungle. Topoon is going to be the victim of the first Lilia E. There are many more to come. Topoon actually may be thinking there's an angle here. Diamond abandons his jungler over the wall using the blast plant, but Jose Diodo is safe for now.
Yeah, and, you know, it's always risky if you commit there. Oh, they can actually turn here. They have a 3-way wrong
Palafox
potentially
in.
here.
Oh, what a stun. Palafox, though, is going to get the W blocked by Diamond. And now Licorice in over the wall. Joey, though, goes golden. IMT still managing okay, but his Johnson in the backside. Killer Instinct indeed takes down the jungler, and it's just a whitewash there as FlyQuest are going to grab themselves the Bud Light aces. Topoon dies over the wall with his ulti, and FlyQuest will give up the Dragon Soul to take the Nexus instead.
That was sick from FlyQuest. The 3-prong flank there. People coming in from all sides, and Immortals was just completely surrounded. No way out for them. FlyQuest is going to go 2-0 on the day. Jose Diodo remaining undefeated in the LCS, steals a Baron in his second game here, and FlyQuest have got to be so happy about that.
Still the best import in the LCS. Jose Diodo keeping the statistics nice and high. Win rate still at 100%. A very different game, though, than the one we saw earlier today up against Evil Geniuses, which continues our theme of nobody really knows what's happening in the LCS Lock-In tournament. The results are just so volatile, it feels like, with FlyQuest taking down EG, who were the only undefeated team before that game, and now Immortals Academy, you know, just leaving, putting that roster fully in, letting the 4 out of 5 LCS starters have their practice, and Immortals Academy looked, well, Immortals actually in this game looked very good for most of that game. In fact, if